Yeah. I mean, you know, saying everything, right, yeah.
All the events there,
It's driving money,
the picture you can't get us, you know.
Good to go whenever you're ready.
All right, well, we will call this meeting to order. This is the joint Library Facility Financing Authority and Library Joint Powers Authority meeting for February 5th, 2026. So if we could get a roll call, please.
Absolutely. We have Chair Molly Legault,
Here.
Vice Chair Nicole Coburn,
Here.
Board Members Jimmy Goldstein,
Here.
and Matt Heffern.
Present.
All right, are there any additional materials for our agenda today?
No.
Great. Any additions and deletions?
No.
Okay. Well, we will move on to public comment. So this is the time on the agenda where any member of the community may address the board on any item that is on our consent calendar and any item that is not on our agenda today, but within the subject matter or jurisdiction of the board. So is there anyone who would like to provide public comment this morning? No, good. All right, then we will move on to our report by the library director, Christopher.
Thank you. I've provided a written report in the packet. There are just a few things that I'll call out. We are in the process of interviewing for our IT manager. Thanks to the City of Santa Cruz HR support for that. Those first panel interviews start next week, so that's really exciting. And we have been interviewing and are near offering on 3 branch manager key positions. So those are moving forward. We're very happy that the Friends at the Capitola Library and the Friends Group helped support the installation of the solar project and had a nice event the other Saturday that a few of you attended. So we're really grateful for that moving forward. And then we did receive our check for the Carnegie gift. Like many other library systems that still have an original Carnegie library, we have one. And so we got money to spend, and we're spending it on materials that reflect the founding documents of the country and government and civics for all ages, which is within the intent of the gift and the 250th anniversary of the country. And then the final thing I'll report out is that the new hours, thank you, started this week and are going good. We've gotten some good feedback, including at this branch. Someone was very happy that they were to show up with their kid at 6 p.m. on Monday. So little anecdotal feedback like that. But that's from my report, and that's it. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
Any questions, board members?
I think here the hours are being well received.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any public comment on the library director's report? Well, I just wanted to point out and note, it was great to see so many promotions in the new hire section. And it's great to see that we're able to grow our staff and advance them into new career roles. So I was really happy to read about that. Thank you. All right, next report by the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just have a few updates, all very good. We were able to kick off the first real meeting this year of the Literacy Fund Committee, and we received a wonderful ask, thanks to Christopher, and we asked that the library give us kind of a baseline ask as well as more aspirational numbers. So we have something to work towards, and we're hoping to build really a new business model for how we fundraise going forward, on this exact project. I also want to share that we have applied for the Stanford Alumni Consulting Team to help us with that business model, and we got back some positive response from that application, and we should know soon if they're going to be helping us. So that's really cool. Also, I think I teased that there was a little bit of a surprise around the capital campaign last time. I can share right now that we have completed the Monterey Peninsula Foundation match. That's the whole 400,000. We're now at 2,690,373. And we are about to reveal another match that will pretty much take us the entire rest of the way there for 150,000 and a naming of the teen room. So really, we are truly in the final stretch, which is perfect because you might have noticed construction has started, which is really exciting. And we are hoping to actually be coming back to you pretty soon, regarding making an actual funds transfer. So, we're looking long-term at that, and it feels like it's real now. Right, congratulations. Questions?
Just a comment, it's incredible effort. You all make it look easy, but reaching that milestone at this juncture is really exciting, and just appreciate your leadership and all the community support.
Yeah, thank you so much to the community. They truly are.
Any public comments on the Friends report? All right, well, thank you so much for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. And we'll move on to report by the Library Advisory Commission.
Mike isn't here. Charlotte, do you want to say anything? If not, we're okay.
All right, so we will move on to the consent calendar for the Library Facilities Financing Authority Board, our first consent calendar of the morning. Are there anyone like to pull an item from consent? Good. And then I would entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, motion by Director Huffaker, second by Director Goldstein. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes.
Sorry.
All right, it looks like we don't have any general business for the LFFA this morning, so any project updates or comments by board members regarding our LFFA?
I just want to take a brief moment. Director, mentioned this earlier, the solar groundbreaking event at Capitol Branch Library. I'm really wonderful. I really appreciate the comments you made. And Director Coburn, it was a good community event. I want to thank the friends, Capitol Branch friends, everybody pulled together to get the project done. It was something we originally wanted to do in our construction with the library, and we had to value engineer it out. Partnerships like that are cool, and it was really, really great. And really big thank you to your team, County, for shepherding that project across the finish line and project managing the work. So thank you all.
Great. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the portion of the agenda that is the Library Joint Powers Authority Board. So the first item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Any board member want to pull an item from consent? Good. Then I would entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, motion by Director Colburn, second by Director Goldstein. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. So move on to the general business of the LJPA, which our first item is a presentation on the Downtown Library Historical Materials Scanning Project.
Okay, Victor, thank you. So you have I also have it on a flash drive if you get fired now. You got it.
Make the computer work.
So I don't know how much people know about what we have in storage at the downtown library, which has always been available. If you know about it, you can ask us about things that we have up there, and we can bring them to you. You give us your ID. When you give us back the materials, you get them. What we're doing, the library's always had a pretty robust local history section. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but you go into local information and local history, and there's a lot there. What we're trying to do is get it all digitized, so it's all findable. It's all in the Calisphere, the online archives of California, the digital public library.
It sounds like there was maybe a car accident, a F-150 or 250 gray pickup was hit in the parking lot. Is that anyone here's car? Oh, it could be yours.
Let me go check.
Let's take a quick pause.
Okay.
We just ran into a truck out there.
Yeah.
We'll just take a quick pause. Yeah,
Salvage value on that price.
yeah. Here's the dog.
Wasn't the last time we were actually here was when the giant gas tanker had just turned over on 17?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something about our coming out at this hour.
I just appreciate that an accident, the breaking law would happen here, not in the Capitol. Statistically.
It's much more likely there.
I've come within about a quarter inch.
Yeah, you're laughing about it now, but it may not happen.
There's a food distribution down there.
Yeah.
So,
It's gray bears.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of activity around.
yeah.
it.
Hopefully it's minor,
I hope so.
It's not looking at that direction.
cosmetic.
So, since we have a little break, I'll tell you a story time. I was on the phone after.
Are we online?
before we-
Give me a second.
We will be in it.
Take care.
Insurance information.
Back online and we'll
No
resume
more
our
story
meeting.
time?
All right. I think-
So Lamy, Lamshaw Young, Lamy, our amazing volunteer coordinator, came to me and said, well, do you have any use for volunteers? A lot of people who are applying to be volunteers say they want to work with local history. And I said, well, I have a project. And this woman who's retired, that's Elise Dempsey, she did all the digitization for Holy Cross's collection. And she said, I think you need a project manager. And I was like, so are you volunteering? And she said, yeah, I'm volunteering. So I have a project manager. And we have 15 trained staff. Many are library students. They average 2 to 4 hours a week. And this is one of our monthly meetings. I think we have 9 of us there. So anyway, so this is most of the group. Some people were like in class or at work. Next slide. So what are we digitizing? We've got a lot of zines that have been digitized. We've got all of the Lavender Reader digitized. Some of the zines, this definitely biased is a feminist zine from the 70s. This is, of course, Scan, Santa Cruz Action Network, the Penny Press, the Second Saturday Group. This is from the Newber Floyd collection. A bunch of students from here went to Zimbabwe. Next slide. So we've had a clippings file that started, they go all the way back to the 1960s and ended at 2020 when the person who was doing the clippings retired. All the new stuff, of course, for the major papers is available online now. But this is a sort of a snapshot. You can follow a subject and it's in the folders and it's been clipped and indexed all these years. And so what we're doing is scanning the files and uploading them so that anybody can see these. And you probably are familiar with some of these. The Borders Battle. Found prehistoric artifacts at Scotts Valley City Hall, etc. So next please. We also have some, besides the zines and the clipping file, which are a big part of it, we have these collections from various people. For example, the Fay Ellis collection is file cabinets and file cabinets full of, I think this lady kept everything about the San Lorenzo Valley from her lifetime and before that she could find. This is Paul Tutwiler with the history of spirituality in the county. Marion Pokratt with the Scotts Valley collection. Preston Sawyer collected all sorts of ephemera. Marilyn Hummel, the Bonnie Doon collection, Newbra Floyd, the Second Saturday African American Students collection, and Irene Berry with the West Side collection. And so these are all things that people have donated to us, and we are busy scanning and digitizing and making them available to the public. And this photo here of Harry Love, who may or may not have been the one to kill Joaquin Murrieta, he claims he was. Jason Brown, son of John Brown. Georgiana Kirby. Harvey West. So these are just some cool things that you find in the collection. And this photo here is even being used by the History Channel for the series on the West. And they paid us some money for it. They didn't get it for free. Local researchers generally do. So that's it for that one. Some maps and photos from the collection. And then the next one's the most interesting. We got some things such as, this says, my name is Winston Bennett. I was born in Walton County, Georgia in 1822. So when we're opening these things up, we don't know what we're gonna find. This was in the Fay Ellis collection, and this is this guy's memoir, handwritten. From 1889 and his life from 1822 and being one of the original pioneers and coming out here. And so sometimes we're putting them in, and sometimes we're transcribing them, and we'd like to be able to get them all transcribed as well. But yeah, you get a lot of handwriting.
Edwin Markham was a poet, right? The guy on the last screen,
Oh, back to the.
lower.
Yes, this is two at a fireside. I built a chimney for a comrade old. I did the service not for hope or hire. And then I traveled on in winter's cold. Yet all the day I glowed before the fire. Edwin Markham for the Santa Cruz Library. March 1904, when the Carnegie was new.
Pretty famous, a poet laureate for one of the Western states. There's a museum for him across the mountains, right?
Yeah, yeah. And he wrote that for the Santa Cruz Library. And some of the unique art items are, I think this one's probably the Preston Sawyer. There are so many just playbills for live theater, vaudeville, and movie theater. And Hugo's the one who's been working on this Preston Sawyer collection and doing all sorts of extra research, trying to figure out when this theater existed, where it was, how long was it there, how many movies did they show, you know. He's been going down this rabbit hole for quite some time. And I think that says it all here. I'm the lab that makes people better. Carriers of 1912, Pacific Garden Mall. What is this one? Souvenir menu for the Saturday Afternoon Club, the Federated Women's Clubs of California. Probably in the database, it has a year or at least a decade. It looks turn of the last century. So our goals are to continue. One of the things is Elise is a data person, and so she's got charts that are shared with us, and she bugs people to update their progress. You know, she can tell you, we started off, we were at the clippings file, which is the biggest one, file cabinets of news clippings. And when we started this project a year and a half ago with all these volunteers, it was about half done, and now we're at about 70% done. So we're going to continue to track our metrics and refine the digital presence of the collection, drawing on our experience and knowledge of the collection, play an advisory role to the library on the future of the collection, collaborate with other archivists and historians in the community, and seek opportunities to share what we're finding in the files. Create venues for speaking to the value of the work through podcasts and presentations. Well, this is a presentation like the one to the LAC. We are going to do a podcast with KSQD. I'm not sure how you even make a podcast, but Arlene and Diane from staff, and Arlene are both really active in K-Squid, and look for it in April. There'll be a podcast affiliated with K-Squid that will feature our local history digitizing team. Also, we do get a chance to, one of the great things at this last Saturday, the library was out at the Laura Hecox Day at the Museum of Natural History. And their most popular exhibit of that day was under glass and well protected were the Laura Heacock scrapbooks from the 19th century that were the founding, the founding of the museum was Laura Heacock's and these. So this has got things that she kept throughout her life that she clipped from the newspapers, but also a lot of the specimens she found in scientific articles and whatever she collected. There's seven scrapbooks. And we've got that all digitized, and we gave a digital copy and the scrapbooks themselves to the museum, which is great. They're displaying them. It's part of their origin story. And we would love it if anybody else, once we've digitized this and made it available to the public through the library's website, if anybody else really wants these original materials, we'd be happy to let them have them if they have a use. And we even came up with a de-accession form.
The goal, and thank you for that. So that Laura Hickok is an example of working with a local organization to responsibly transfer things that they're going to use it more than we will. So we are on the hunt for other organizations. A lot of the conversations so far are, thank you for the offer. No, but would you like some of my stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
We're working through that. We have acknowledged that the goal of this is to make this as broadly available as possible. That's the goal of putting it online. And then it's going online so quickly is terrific because we are finding gems that we did not realize we had. Some of the materials that will not go to the new library, we will want to keep stuff that has been handwritten, like that one, or of very unique specific Santa Cruz County area stuff. So we're looking at options and exploring nooks and crannies of our buildings to see where we can responsibly host this stuff and still have it retrievable by the public and have a process for those researchers who actually do come and want to see something that is handwritten. That's very important to a lot of people, that they can still access it. So that's one of the projects we're working on. Of course, a number of materials in that collection, like old newspapers and stuff that are just turning into cornflakes. Those are available elsewhere. We're not going to take those with us. So that stuff is not being scanned because it's already done. But thank you, Victor.
And thank you for putting it so eloquently.
Any questions or comments from the board?
So I know at the county, we work with UCSC to transfer some of our documents up there to their libraries. So I don't know if there would be a nexus for you if you have government related articles or documents to add to their collection. That might be an option for you. We also need to digitize a lot of things at the county in our historical records. So I'm just thinking that our clerk of the board may want to learn from what you've done, and it's a lot. We have a lot in the warehouse and in our offices, and so it's a project that when she has time, she wants to tackle, but it feels kind of overwhelming to even think about, but maybe it would be worthwhile for her to meet with you.
That would be great. She could learn from, and it's wonderful to have Elise do the training. And get these people on board. And it's been wonderful that the community's been so into it. They're so excited about it and diligent. And we've got all ages. I mean, we've got from like age 19 to retired folks. It's really encouraging to see some of the younger people actually do care about local history.
I should also point out the reason we're able to do this with volunteers is we're not an archive. We have no archivist positions.
I was wondering about that too.
So that's how it allows us to do this. And our goal is not to become an archive. Out of this, we don't have enough material to justify it's going down there.
Okay.
Well, it's fascinating. And our region has such a rich history. It was a lot of fun even just looking through the slides that you were sharing this morning. I could see you kind of going, taking a deep dive into this work as you're working through it with the team. So just appreciate those efforts. And we too are kind of moving through a process of digitizing a lot of our historical records as well. And it'd be interesting to think about how we might share across those databases if there's opportunities to make it more readily available.
So yeah, well, the Art League wants some of the Preston Sawyer. There's about a banker's box of Preston Sawyer stuff that is about the art league. And they are interested, so but that's just one banker's box.
Yeah, that's great.
So one of the points, I think, we sort of touched on it, but on your first slide, you talked about 12 staff members, employee trained staff members. How many of those folks are paid?
Well, these are all, the staff this is all volunteer.
That's what I suspected.
It's all volunteer.
Yeah, so-
We have had staff members interested in being part of the team, but that's,
They don't get to do that.
yeah, they don't get to do, and they're even interested to the point where they say they'd like to volunteer, and you can't volunteer in the same place where you're employed.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I suspected, and I thought it was worth noting that it was a volunteer-led effort, which is.
Yeah, the only people at that table who get paid by the library were me and Lamy,
Yeah.
so.
And then secondarily, I was just gonna do a little kind of brag question comment, sort of that I think Capitol may be the only jurisdiction with actually its own public library. County, we do have public, museum. Sorry. Nobody gave me a nod. Sorry. Sorry, public museum. I don't know why I confused those two in my head, but we have a Capitol Historical Museum, and we've been going through an effort to archive and digitize. And so again, as Director Coburn mentioned, sort of partnering with UCSC, I don't know, you maybe already have.
Deborah Ostertag with the, and you have a space, they have a space in the library,
Yes.
as
yes,
does
we
the
do.
Aptos Museum in this library.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's,
and there's been a huge effort to digitize some of our sort of extensive historical records, and so figuring out kind of that integration, I know that's probably. A challenge to some degree, but it's also, once it's digitized, and obviously libraries are great repositories, because maybe sometimes they're the first place people go to look for things.
Yeah.
So just something else to kind of put in the hopper and think about.
yeah, and UCSC is a good, they do keep a lot of local history. They have a more robust collection than we do, but they're also trying to they're trying to weed their collection as well. So they're not really, I don't, for instance, Preston Sawyer, when he passed, I don't know why the public library got some of his stuff. And UCSC Special Collections got some of his stuff. I don't think it's the same stuff. But maybe they would take that collection when we're done, I don't know. But yeah, we've been in contact, and everybody will tell me, oh no, it's very important to keep things in all formats. And can you store it for us? Oh no, we're going through the same thing ourselves. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had a place where we could all store our rare offsite stuff and then get it for researchers when we need to?
That brings to mind the closing scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
All right, thank you.
Well, similarly, in Scotts Valley, we have the Scott House, which was the original house that the Scott family lived in. And it was moved from its original location on Scotts Valley Drive up to McDorson Park, right outside of City Hall. And it serves as our sort of pseudo museum. Lots of archives there, records and old newspaper clippings and different things. And when we find things in City Hall, give them to the Scotts Valley Historic Society, because we think they're probably the better keepers. But it'd be interesting to see, I'd love to see those records digitized as well. And I know they're not working on that, so there could be an interesting partnership.
We had, Debbie Mock was
Yeah.
interested in digitizing the Pocrioc Scotts Valley collection, but then now somebody else is doing it.
Oh, okay, great.
But they are very interested.
Yeah.
They'd like to get their museum, because what they really have is the restored Scott House and then a few bookshelves.
Yeah.
And the rest of their stuff is at Jay and Debbie's house. They don't really have a museum, but I know they'd
There's
like
not
to
a lot
get
of space.
it. And San Lorenzo Valley has 2 museums.
Yeah. Yep. Well, great. Any other staff comments, any public comments on this item? Great project. All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you for your work. Thank you to the volunteers for us.
Yes.
For the work they're putting in. Really appreciate it.
They're an amazing team.
Good. All right, next we have the Library Administrative Services Agreement.
Thank you, and over to me. So this is following up on direction from the board from our September meeting to come back with a revised library services agreement with the city of Santa Cruz. So this agreement that's in front of you today includes the changes you guys requested, including a stepped-in payment system over the years, extending the agreement out to 2031, so it ties in with the others. And also adjusting the yearly, if there's a 5% increase or decrease from year to year in the measurements, being able to revisit the agreement, the terms of the agreement. I will also point out, thank you to an eagle-eyed director here. On page 142 at the top, there is an edit that was in the draft copy that will come out of the final copy. So if you approve this agreement today, I would recommend you'd be approving it without that language that's in the parens at the top of page 142. And I will turn it over to you for questions or discussion.
Questions from the board?
I just have a question. You said you were aligning this with the JPA. I think that agreement goes through FY 32, so there's 1 more year.
Okay,
So, I don't know,
we can
if you
adjust that.
truly do want to align, then we should extend it out 1 more year, just so that, we can deal with all the agreements at once.
Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, we can make that adjustment.
Yeah,
Good catch.
And so this agreement has the same terms, it's the 3-year phase in. We went with sort of option 1B, if I remember right,
yeah.
with the slightly enhanced services from HR.
Mhm.
And then the 3.5% annual step up.
Right.
Correct, as this is on the table on page 142. Yeah.
And then we would add 1 more year. Should we give direction to staff to add the year just to, unless you're not 100% sure off the top?
Um,
Yeah.
Let's give direction to align it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't doubt you. I don't remember often.
Yeah.
Exactly, but yeah, that makes sense to align it to me.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Any public comment on this item? All right, so sounds like we have some direction. So I want to make a motion.
And I'll move approval with the changes as noted, including the comment that was captured and then to align with the other JPA agreements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Director Colburn, second by Director Huffaker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you for your hard work on that. I know it's been a process, so glad we have a.
How many years?
Okay, so moving on, our next item is the FY 27 operating budget assumptions for our draft budget proposal.
Thank you. On this is the kickoff conversation to the budget prep for the library system going forward. And what we've presented here are some budget assumptions for what we're looking at next year, and also a multi-year projection to help frame some conversation here. Two things I want to point out. These do reflect the increases in revenue as we have them. When we pulled these numbers 2 weeks ago, there are 2 things that we do still need to adjust, kind of minor things that we need to adjust. One is we have not included the most recent approved Measure R sales tax numbers that from the LFA from last week. So those will come in the next version of this multi-year projection. And then we are verifying whether this Baker Tilly model incorporates the most current CalPERS cost projection in the out years. So we'll be verifying those going forward. For this coming year, it's pretty straightforward. We will likely come to you in May with some one-time asks to top up the materials collection, again, similar to how you did last year. We brought it back up to 10% and just ensuring that we have what we need for the downtown library collection, and as well, possibly for Library of Things collection, which is one of the strategic objectives that we're developing right now. Currently, we circulate telescopes, parks passes, and induction cooktops, right? And hotspots. So we would like to diversify that. A lot of other Library of Things collections have a variety of things that are a little bit more practical that you can check out. So we might come back to you with an ask for that. There might also be an ask, we're looking at these now, based on what we just talked about in terms of the historical collection. We might need to buy some, not just some supplies to house some things, but again, if we find the right nook or cranny to just store it within our facilities, there might be some minor facilities upgrade to make that accessible. So we will spell that out and bring it back at a future meeting. Kira, am I missing anything else from this? Okay. I'm looking at you because you and I have spent the most time on these numbers in the last 4 weeks. We are also, I just want to point out, we are internally looking at our budget and rearranging some of the organizational structure of it so that we can track different division spending than we've been able to do in the past, which will help us stay on top of it. And then 2 other things that will likely come to you in May is as we finish the strategic plan, thank you, which will come to you that meeting as well. Our very next step is to bring in the organizational consultant. I think I brought this up in this group before, to look at our organizational structure to ensure that we're aligned properly to achieve what we need to for that strategic plan. And then also we will be looking at a printing solution. We do not have a printing solution in our branches right now. There is some print management, but it's not a cost recovery model. And it, quite honestly, people can come in and print a gazillion pages and walk out the door. We don't have a way to stop them and say, come back up to the desk and pay or what have you. So there's some cost associated with that. Things you learn. And then probably in the next year, and for certainly in the following year, there will be some costs associated with moving to the new downtown library. We're already going through some of the oldest stuff in that building that's basically garbage that we can safely get rid of. But there are some decision points on, hiring a mover, what they will actually be moving. What things is the JPA library going to be responsible for getting rid of outside of that building once we vacated it? Those decisions we've started to have with the city's staff on that, but there will likely be some asks coming forward to you, at least in the next year on that. And I think I'm going to stop there and turn it over, see if there's any questions or further things you want us to investigate.
Questions from board members?
Those are questions.
Okay, we'll first open it up for public comment then. Are there any members of the public who'd like to comment on the budget assumptions? All right, we'll bring it back and ask for comments.
I can start really quickly. As a minor request about the archive of things, I think you're calling it, or the
Library of
the
Things.
library of things. Cassette tape player. I have some old recordings of family members, interviews, and I was just, I was just trying to. My son was doing a project, and I was like, oh, I have recordings of grandpa and grandma before they passed, and they're on tapes, and I don't have a tape player anymore, which seems sort of funny for those of us of a certain generation, but yeah, I looked through everything I had. And then I started looking online, and it was like, we're gonna spend $40 to buy a tape player, like, and tape that may or may not even work, so.
Good suggestion.
It would be fun. Secondarily, I talked to the director about this a little bit, I think maybe looking at the format for the budget, just trying to present. I'm sure that just came out of the Baker Tilly report, but presenting kind of a starting fund balance and then an ending fund balance each year, because in the format it was presented, it was a little hard for me to kind of go from year to year to year. Sure. Obviously, we have some work to do because we need to be structurally balanced by right now we're looking like
20,
2030.
29, 2030.
Yeah, and then I also had been noted, and Director Platt mentioned this as well, is that I think, if I remember right, I think Baker Tilly may have just kind of put in the CalPERS UAL, that's the unfunded liability payments for the pension plans, and kind of just inflated them forever. And I was checking the city of Santa Cruz's most recent reports, and it looks like around 28, 29, just eyeballing it, I'm not doing all math, it kind of flattens out, which may be some longer term positive for the library in this model. I'm not sure. And you know, I've been hoping CalPERS was gonna flatten out for about 5 years. And it feels like it remains a couple of years away forever, so maybe Baker Tilly is right, and it never actually will happen, but that might help us on the projection. I think the biggest thing is our long-term challenge here is making sure that we get to sort of that structural
Yes.
balance right around that 2030 mark.
Right.
Which is where we're currently projecting the sort of available extra fund balance to be.
I think at county, we're anticipating it flattening out about 2030, so hopefully we'll start to see some personnel savings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or at least inflationary, non-inflationary growth, which,
Yeah, I think the biggest driver for us is bad, the public safety tier just as a shift over. But you are right, that I think many of us have been kind of forecasting that planning horizon 5 years out now for. So here's hoping.
And I will interject, the city of Santa Cruz Finance Department has been very helpful in providing us updated. They sent us some updated CalPERS projections yesterday. So we'll bake those in. Projections.
Great.
Thank you for this. It is really helpful to see current year, what's the horizon look like? And of course, those assumptions are always a moving target, but it's helpful to kind of see what the targets are. So appreciate your work in showing us that.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I would just say, I really like that, you might be bolstering Spanish language collections. I think that's an area, just in terms of serving our whole community, that is really important.
Thank you. And that will come out more strongly in our strategic plan that we
Okay.
present to you in May. There's a whole lot of Spanish language stuff, including an advisory group that we're looking to build. So,
Great,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, well, this is just a discussion item. There's no action for the board to take at this point. We'll look forward to seeing the actual draft budget at our next meeting. So that takes us to comments by board members. Comments by board members to wrap up this meeting?
Is that a demand or a request? No, we probably shouldn't sit next to each other.
I'll make a note of that for next time.
I will just say, just real quickly, the downtown branch is making great progress. We're actually ahead of schedule. Anyone's visited the site recently, much of the foundation now has been poured and steel is going in. So it's very exciting to see the project kind of rising out of the ground. More to come. Yeah.
Exciting. Great. All right, well, no more comments by board members. Our next meeting will be May 7th at 9 a.m. at the Scotts Valley Library. So we'll look forward to welcoming everyone to Scotts Valley. And if anybody wants to go down the slides at the new playground while you're there, welcome. It's pretty fun.
I tested them yesterday, definitely recommend it.
Great, with that, we are adjourned.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you guys.
Sorry, Molly, Jamie was really excited about CalPERS costs. That's what all that.